This one is the Zhiyun Smooth Q3. Oh, and this one is the DJI OM4. Hello, my name is Otto and welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be about the DJI OM4 versus the Smooth Q3 from Zhiyun. I made a review about the Smooth Q3 just a few days ago, and I was actually impressed by the features that it has to offer and how similar it is to the OM4. So now the question is, should you buy the DJI OM4 or the Zhiyun Smooth Q3? You see, the first big difference is the price. The DJI OM4 still retails at $149 and the Smooth Q3 retails at $89. For that price, the OM4 gives you a tripod, a pouch, a wrist strap, a USB-C charging cable, and a few other items to complement the magnetic clamp. The basic version of the Smooth Q3 comes with a tripod and a USB-C charging cable. Nothing else. The stabilization on both devices is very solid. I can't tell a difference when using one or the other, except that the Q3 seems to be more rigid than the OM4, and it will stop moving faster than the OM4. Here is an example of what I'm saying. Pay attention when the Q3 stops moving versus the OM4. This is not a good thing or a bad thing. I actually got used to the OM4, but some users might argue that it moves too much, and unfortunately, you can adjust the follow speed on either gimbal. Both of these gimbals are lightweight, but the Smooth Q3 is lighter at 350 grams, while the OM4 weighs around 420 grams. The length and the shape of the tripods are almost identical. The one for the OM4 is 70 grams and the one for the Smooth Q3 is 50 grams. These tripods are long and they can be used as an extension grip, like this. The size of the gimbals are almost the same when they are fully extended, and I feel that they are about the same size when they are folded as well. Both gimbals can support pretty heavy smartphones, the Smooth Q3 up to 280 grams and the DJI OM4 up to 290 grams. I was able to use both of them with the iPhone 12 with an external lens and the case to mount the lens, and they had no problems with it. This lens is 70 grams, the case 30 grams, and combined with the iPhone 12, it is 280 grams in total. The OM4 has a bigger battery capacity with almost 2500 milliamps and around 15 hours of operation, while the Smooth Q3 has a 1300 milliamp battery and around 8 hours of regular operation. The OM4 can be used as a power bank to charge your smartphone with a simple USB-C cable, and the Smooth Q3 cannot do this. This is not something that you will use frequently, but you know how they say, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it? Something like that. For every other situation, having a power bank with you is always a good idea. This is not sponsored, just like the rest of the video. Setting up and balancing both gimbals is quite easy, but the OM4 has this magnetic clamp that you place on your phone. It can stay here on the phone, and when you need to use the gimbal, all you need to do is this. And when you're done, all you have to do is take it out just like this. This has to be one of their major selling points because it just makes it very easy to set up, and balancing is almost non-existent. This is one of my favorite parts of the OM4. But bigger smartphones with a case are going to feel a little bit more compromised. What I mean by that is that the fit on the clamp is a little bit too tight, even though I'm using thin cases. So most of the times, I just have to take the case off. Now, you don't need to worry. I don't think the smartphone is going to fall off so easily, as you can see from the video on the background. The Smooth Q3 has a thicker clamp and it will support most phones with a thin case. At the top of the clamp of the Q3, we have this small light with 3 levels of brightness. It is not a lot of brightness, but it can come handy in very low light situations. You can also twist the light to face forward or to face yourself. Both gimbals have 3 axes, they both have long arms, And using the smartphone's ultra-wide-angle lens is not going to be an issue since it's not going to see the arm or the motors. The buttons and the joystick feel really good on both gimbals. With the buttons, you can easily recenter the gimbal, switch to horizontal or vertical mode, and start recording a video or take a picture. We also have smooth sliders for the zoom control, and both gimbals have a trigger on the front that will do different things depending on the gimbal. One thing that I absolutely like about the Smooth Q3 is that without going into the menu, I can change the different gimbal modes. This means that I can select pan follow, lock mode, follow mode, POV mode, inception mode, and sport mode. I even get a visual confirmation with the lights on top, and all of this makes this gimbal more user-friendly even if you're using the native camera app or any other app such as Filmic Pro, which I do have news towards the end of the video. With the OM4, all you can do without going into the menu is to set it to a sport mode or to lock mode. Every other mode is going to be inside the menu. Such an amazing toy, and yet it doesn't have something that every other gimbal seems to have nowadays. Build quality is very good on the Smooth Q3 and on the OM4. I like the ergonomic grip on both devices, and that is something that I've never said before. But I do prefer the ergonomic grip on the OM4. They fit really good on my hand. The OM4 has just about the right length. This part on the back is made with soft rubber, and the Q3 is just a little bit short, but it's not really a big deal. It also has some rubber material here, but I still think that the grip on the OM4 feels better, but this one is close enough. We also have other modes available. Unders long mode works on both gimbals without issues, and this will let you take low angle shots. All you need to do is flip the gimbal upside down, and the camera will automatically turn around to get on the right position. Sport mode is also available on both gimbals, and this will make the gimbal react faster to your movements. As the name implies, this is useful when you're making sport or action videos. The vortex or spin shot is this mode where the smartphone is going to spin around. The OM4 will spin around 230 degrees, and the Smooth Q3 will spin for about 180 degrees without seeing the gimbal's arm. Both the OM4 and the Smooth Q3 offer object and face tracking. To activate it, you can select it on the screen or you can press the trigger on the gimbal. Tracking is very smooth on both devices, but I had a few issues when tracking on my Samsung S21 Plus on the Q3 where the app would lose the subject. It didn't happen all the time, but with the iPhone, it never happened at all. So I'm really hoping that Zhiyun fixed that on a firmware update really soon. When it comes to the app, they are both very similar, and you can select the camera mode that you want to use: video mode, photo mode, time lapses, hyperlapses, panorama shots, dolly zoom, and slow motion. Although slow motion is not an option on either gimbal if you're using Android. If you have an iPhone, you get the slow motion and you can shoot at 24, 25, 30, and 60 frames per second. And you can also select manual controls for the ISO and the shutter speed. Android users might also get disappointed that the OM4 will only shoot at 30 frames per second inside the app. The Smooth Q3 will support 24 and 30 frames per second. I'm actually happy about the 24 frames per second, but still no 60 frames per second on either gimbal. If you want to shoot at 60 frames per second, you can use the native camera app on your smartphone, and I think that that's the best thing to do. I tried the app Filmic Pro on the Samsung S20 Plus and S21 Plus, and it will not shoot above 30 frames per second. My question still remains, which one is the right one to buy? It seems to me that the Smooth Q3 is a very good choice considering the lower price, the fact that you can change the gimbal modes without digging into the menus, and you can shoot 24 frames per second inside their app. And apparently, some older Android devices do support 60 frames per second. The OM4 on the other hand has the magnetic clamp, slightly better ergonomics, and it has a bigger battery life. At the end, it's going to depend on a few different factors. But I hope that this video gave you some value in understanding the difference between the Smooth Q3 and the DJI OM4. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about these two gimbals. Please give me a rating. Don't forget to have an amazing day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.